or written something about an aspect of your topic. So within the 21st century, you rarely find pieces of research that are not linked to any previous research. So that's the beauty of literature review. It helps you to locate your work within a particular field of study. You find out what has been studied in the past about this topic. What is the gap? Now your literature review helps to fill in that gap. So another important thing is you find out people that are working in your field. That is one good way. You find out people who are doing research in that particular area. That is another importance of literature review. It helps you to identify the major seminal works. So one of the key things in terms of corporate governance, one of the theories that have come up is the Beall versus Means approach towards corporate governance. That is a seminal work, is a piece of work that is seminal. You look at the key theories regarding the particular area. So Beall and Means, for example, 1932, it is a key seminal work. Agency theory, for example, those are key theories on corporate governance. So there are so many theories that have looked at corporate governance. Agency theory, transactional theory is one of them. Interlocking directorates theory is another theory. So some authors within the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s have done a lot of work regarding those specific theories relating to a particular topic. So when you are reviewing the literature, you get to know more about the theories, the concepts, the principles about your topic, and you find out that, okay, this is where my topic fits in within this particular theory. It also helps you to identify the main methodologies and research techniques that have been used. So in a space of 5 years, in terms of the research that has been done in your topic, you would notice that, okay, maybe most of the research has focused on questionnaire, on survey. Could there be a reason for that? Most of the authors would have written a reason why they have used a particular research method. It could be access to data. So it could have been the countries where they conducted this research. It was easier for them to access the data by sending questionnaires to people via email. Then you also notice that maybe fewer studies have used interviews or focus group. Why is that? It could be that it's because of the fact that they are not able to recruit enough interview participants. Or it could be the reverse, could be the case that you have most of the research that has done focuses on qualitative research, interviews and focus groups rather than questionnaires. Why is that? What has been a reason for that? So interviews, focus group will give you more of an in-depth, so you'll be able to find out more from the participants. So you also, another important point of literature review is that it helps you to identify the main ideas, conclusions and theories. So what are the main ideas within this particular topic? When you identify the main ideas, the main topics, through your literature review, you are able to identify the similarities, the strengths, and the weaknesses as well. It also helps you to provide a context for your own research. Because of your literature review, you are able to find out what has been done, why it was conducted in that way, why did they use questionnaires, interviews, what was the finding. So when they used questionnaires, when they used interviews, was there any difference in the finding? Why was that? You can use that. That helps you to know more about that area, that topic, and then you can use it as a basis, as a context for your study, and by so doing, you're also contributing to knowledge and filling in the gap. Once you do a literature review, you are also able to show relationships between previous studies or theories. So when you are doing your literature review regarding your topic, you are able to see how your review, how your assignments, how your piece of work contributes to knowledge, how it is similar or different. So what you are investigating, how it is similar, the topic, whether it is similar or different, or an extension of what is already existing in the literature. So, literature review, it helps you to identify the relationship between ideas and practice. So, when you're doing your literature review, you could find out research ideas, research proposals, and then you then see how they were able to conduct it in the real life. They went to a company, they collected data, whether through questionnaires, surveys, or interviews, and then they provided the findings. You might also see a research work, some form of collaboration between a university and a government department in the UK, for example. Through that research, you can see how the government department commissioned the university in the UK to do a particular piece of research, and because of the findings of that research, that's now influenced government policy and improved the lives of the people in the society. So literature review also helps you to know more about the topic or the problem. It helps you to understand the context of the topic or the problem. So within the UK, what has been researched about this topic? Is there any difference within the research done in that topic, on that topic in developing countries? Why is that? Could it be because the UK is more advanced, because it's a developed country? You will find all of this out when you're doing your literature review. Also, it will help you to understand and appreciate the significance of the problem. You will be able to talk about the rationale for your topic, the reason why you have chosen this topic. You will find that out when you engage with the literature. It will also help you to have background information about the topic. Most importantly, you can place your own research within the context of existing literature. And in so doing, you show the gap in the literature and you make a case for why further study is needed. So based on your research, you find out that most of the research have been done through the questionnaire, and because of that, there are a lot of unanswered questions. But your topic, your research, what you're doing is you are approaching it from maybe a mixed methods point of view, a questionnaire and interviews, or you are deciding to go solely via the qualitative research route, whereby you're doing interviews and focus group, and you're making a rationale that you want to find out and do more in-depth study on this topic so that you can fill in the gap in the literature and explain more about the topic which is lacking in the existing literature. The literature review also helps you to outline the important research trends. It helps you to assess the strengths and the weaknesses of existing research. You are also able to identify potential gaps in the knowledge, and you can make a case for current research and future research projects. So because of your research, you can then recommend that in the future, other researchers, because of what you've done in your research, based on the gap you have identified in the literature, you advise future researchers, other students, to focus on the particular area, to use more qualitative research, more interviews and focus group to be able to explain more about the research topic. So, there are a couple of differences between a good and a bad literature review. A good literature review is organized around a coherent set of questions. So when you've looked at a few top seminal works in your topic area, you need to come up with a set of research questions, because this will guide you and help you to structure your literature review. Otherwise, if you do not have a set of research questions, you will find out that there will be no structure in the research, and it will be hard for anybody to read the literature review. A poor literature review, on the other hand, it moves from topic to topic. It does not have a clear focus. You want to avoid that in your literature review. A good point, another difference between a good literature review and a bad literature review, is that a good literature review includes the major key studies, classic studies relating to the research questions guiding the study, the key seminal pieces of work. So if you're talking about a particular topic, you are introducing the concepts regarding a particular topic. There are some key papers that are seminal works that help to set that field of study apart. You need to mention those key works in your literature review. A poor literature review, on the other hand, it omits classic studies, landmarks, or it even brings in trivial studies. It brings in trivial studies, studies that are not relevant to the topic at all, doesn't make any reference to quality or relevance. This is what a poor literature review consists of, and you want to avoid it when you are doing your literature review. A good literature review also is interesting to read because you have engaged with the literature. The reader wants to know more about your topic. It is clear, easy to read, it is coherent, it is systematic, there is a clear focus, it flows logically. The presentation, it's a good presentation. This is a key feature of a good literature review. On the other hand, a poor literature review is boring, is obtuse, there's a lot of use of jargon, pretentious language, there is no organization, there's no coherence, it's not clear, it's hard to read. A good literature review is accurate, it's up to date. So, if in literature review you want to talk about the history, that's fine, but you also need to talk about the key seminal works, and you need to talk about latest, up-to-date research as well. A good literature review also adheres to the recognized style guidelines of the university. So you are writing in the third person, not in the first person. You are not using I in your literature review. You are also adhering to the referencing guidelines, which is the LTU guide, the referencing guideline is a Harvard referencing. So you are using in-text citation and you are also using a bibliography. On the other hand, the poor literature review is inaccurate. There are a lot of missing references. The formatting is very poor. So it's very hard to read. It's very hard to follow up and find out if the reader sees an article and feels that, oh, I want to know more about this topic, they are not able to locate such an article because the reference is not there or it's missing. That is a poor literature review. So, when it comes to a literature review, a few things to remember. The first thing to remember is that you need to engage with the literature. A literature review is not about a list of sources. All you're doing for literature review is that you're reviewing key pieces of work within that particular field about your topic. So you have to be able to paraphrase it, write it in your own words, ensure that literature review is clear, is coherent, it adheres to the LTU referencing guidelines. Also, for your literature review, you have to make sure that you move from the general to the specific. So you start with your introduction, and as you move on, you highlight the similarities, the differences, what were the key findings, are there any strengths or weaknesses in any of the research methods that were used. Some authors who have reviewed the literature in that field may draw your attention to it. So it's also a good thing to have a look at a literature review on your topic. That might give you a hint and save you time to help you to focus on key papers that are needed for your literature review. So always remember, literature review helps you to know more about your topic. It helps you to know the key seminal works. And you would also find out that when you do a good literature review, it is, apart from the fact that it becomes interesting to the reader, you get to know more about the topic. Thank you for listening. Hello, Dr. Jenny Ponyu-William, and I will be taking you academic skills and studying with confidence, weeks 13 and 14. So at the last podcast, which was week 12, we talked about developing effective oral presentation skills, demonstrating effective oral presentation skills during your presentation, whether it's an individual presentation or it's a group presentation. So a couple of things that we talked about at the last podcast for week 12 is that you need to show your passion, you need to engage with your audience. When you have done the research, you've analyzed the strengths and weaknesses within that particular research topic, you find out that it's very easy for you to engage with the audience. Remember that when you're doing presentations, you need to start from the general to the specific. Try and make it a memorable presentation. So like I said at the last podcast, if you're talking about topics about corporate governance, a phrase such as "the fish rots from the head" can help to capture the interest and the attention of the audience, because the audience would look at you that, oh, what does "fish rots from the head" means? So by the time you then explain what corporate governance means and you move on to the specific, whereby you talk about the roles of the board in ensuring good governance in the company, and then you then say that just as the fish rots from the head, if the boards of directors do not embrace good governance in the company, it will cascade to the newest employee. So that is it for week 12. So for week 13 and 14, we are moving on, because we've already talked about in the previous podcast how to write your academic essay. So you know your academic essay starts with an introduction, starts with a main body, and then your conclusion, your recommendations. So for weeks 13 and 14, we are going to be focusing on literature review. The focus of this session, of this podcast, is what is a literature review? What do you understand by literature review? We are going to be talking about why is literature review important? What is the purpose of literature review? What are the characteristics of effective literature review? We will also talk about the differences between good and poor literature review. So during the course of your degree, you are going to be doing quite a lot of literature reviews. Even if it's a PowerPoint presentation that you are doing, you still need to review the literature to find out more information about the topic. So it is really important that you understand the key principles underlying a good presentation. It is very important that you understand the key principles underlying a good literature review. So, what is literature review? Some students feel that it is a list of sources that you have studied, and then students begin to panic. So they are reading many books, papers, articles about that. No, it is not that. It is not a list of sources. You can always go to the internet and copy and paste the list of sources. But a literature review, you have read a number of key journal articles, research papers, books that have talked about this particular topic. So you are reviewing them. You're talking about what are they talking about? What have they defined? What is their perspective regarding corporate governance? What has research focused on in terms of corporate governance? Accountability, transparency. Is there any research? What the research on corporate governance in the UK, for example, what is it talking about? What are the key papers, the key top papers within that field? Also, you are thinking about within Europe. So corporate governance in the Europe, is there a difference in terms of corporate governance? So in the UK, we have the board of directors. On the other hand, in Europe, some other countries, you have a two-tier board system. So you have the executive management board and you have the supervisory board. But in the UK, what we have is one board of directors composed of the executive directors and the non-executive directors. So by reviewing the literature, you are focusing on an area of research, a theory. You are giving us a description, a summary. You are engaging with this literature. What have they found out? What are the key findings? So within the literature, you find out that some people regarding corporate governance, or the topic of corporate governance, have done interviews, used questionnaires. What did they find? So if they were talking about the role of non-executive directors, for example, in influencing good corporate governance, what was the research methods that they used within this literature, within this area? What was the key finding? So that is what literature review is all about. So also, you are looking at the existing research. What has been conducted? What are the studies that have been conducted in your particular area? What are they saying? Is there a gap in the research? So maybe the research has focused on a particular area and they have not explained a particular area of the topic. That is also part of a literature review. You would make a note of that. Maybe it's just few studies, 10 studies that are focused on one area, and other studies have focused on a particular area. These are all the things you are going to note in literature review. The only way you can find out these, the strengths, the weaknesses, the gap in the literature, is when you review the literature. So that is why, like we always say, it is not a list of sources. It's about you engaging with the literature, reading the literature, finding out what was the key finding in this journal paper, what was the key finding in this topic. So, the literature review discusses published information on a particular subject area. It could be within a particular time period. So before you begin to do your literature review, you also you can put in specific search terms. For example, if you are going on the Leeds Trinity University Moodle platform, when you go on Jastor or Wiley, you can make sure that you define your search terms within a particular period. So if you want to find out from 2015 to 2020 on a particular topic, in the LTU library platform, online platform, you are able to define your search terms. So all the key papers that will come up will be within 2015 and 2020. Or otherwise, if you want to find out more about the topic in terms of historical development, you can widen the search and make sure that you see all the articles from 2010 to date. That's the key top articles. You can also restrict the search term so that you can see journal articles or books only, depending. Make sure that you use a variety of sources. The key word there is engaging with the literature. So, why do you need to do a literature review? A couple of reasons for that. First of all, you don't need to read too many papers, studies, and articles about the topic. So this is where the search terms, the keywords that you use when you are on the LTU platform would help you to streamline the number of relevant papers needed for your assignments. So think about your project topic or idea. Has anybody investigated this idea? If yes, when have they done that? Where did they study this topic? So did they study it in the UK? Did they study it in Europe? Did they study it in Africa? What did they find? So what did they find? What was the key finding? What did they say about the topic? How did they find that? What were the research methods that they used to arrive at that finding? So it could have been through questionnaire, it could have been through interviews, it could have been through focus groups. So focus group is also a form of qualitative research whereby you gather a couple of people and you interview them in a group about a particular topic. It could be observation. So maybe you go into a particular business place and you are observing the recruitment practices of that organization. That is observation. It could be through a diary method. So you give your participants, the research participants, you give them a journal and tell them, okay, maybe at specific times of the day or during business hours, you want them to write down their thoughts about a particular topic while they are at work. That is also a means of collecting data. So, the importance of literature review. It helps you to find out what already exists in the topic you are talking about, in the field of research. Chances are, even if you come up with a new topic, so you go to bed, you wake up and you just decide that, oh, this is the topic I want to write for my dissertation. So you go to bed, you wake up and you come up with a topic that this is what I want to write about my dissertation. There is most likely somebody has written something similar, closely identical to